Yes, I definitely didn't expect news like this. The Pentagon is openly threatening the Pope with retaliation after his criticism of Donald Trump. Trump's team stated that the Vatican should be obedient and submissive to Donald Trump because he has military power in his hands that could send the Catholic Church into exile. And this scandal is only gaining momentum now. Pope Leo XIV and President Donald Trump are escalating an already tense conflict over immigration and the war with Iran, revealing a rare and growing rift between the Vatican and the White House. It turned out that before the war against Iran, a representative of the Vatican was summoned to the White House, and they demanded that the Holy See not only support Donald Trump's upcoming war, but almost call it a crusade against the infidels. The White House denies all accusations and says, no, come on, Donald Trump gets along perfectly well with the Vatican, but for some reason, the Pope absolutely refuses to even fly to the United States this year. I'll talk about this a bit later. And just this week, the Pope once again lashed out at Donald Trump for his war against Iran. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, called this war the equivalent of a crusade. So let's figure this out. My name is Pechiy. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and leave any comment under this video. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video, or by using the QR code on your screens. And make sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechiy News. The link to it is also in the description of this video. So, the biggest scandal broke out on the eve of the announcement of a ceasefire in the war waged by the US and Israel against Iran. The New Republic reported that a scandal has erupted between the US Department of Defense and the Vatican. And here is what the publication writes. A few days after Pope Leo XIV delivered a speech about the state of affairs in the world, this was back in January, the Deputy Secretary of Defense for Political Affairs, Elbridge Colby, summoned Cardinal Christophe Pierre, who is the official representative of the Vatican in the US, to a closed meeting at the Pentagon to lecture him. And next, I will quote Elbridge Colby according to the New Republic. The United States has the military power to do whatever it wants in the world. It would be better for the Catholic Church to take our side. And this is where, things get really intense. According to the publication, one of the American military officials present at the meeting talked about the Avignon papacy. This was a period in the 14th century when the French monarchy brought the Catholic Church under its control by ordering an attack on Pope Boniface VIII, which led to his downfall and subsequent death, and forced the papacy to move from Rome to Avignon, which is a region within France. Well, this period is also called the Avignon exile of the Holy See. And so at the Pentagon, the cardinal who represents the Vatican in the US was basically given a hint that they could repeat this Avignon exile for the entire Holy See. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and other high-ranking Pentagon officials were especially outraged by parts of the Pope's speech. The Pope, back on January 9, claimed that, quote, diplomacy that encourages dialogue and seeks consensus among all parties is being replaced by diplomacy based on force. War is back in fashion, and the thirst for war is spreading wider and wider. And this quote from the Pope deeply offended Donald Trump, and there it was interpreted as criticism of Trump coming from the Pope. So overall, it was obvious that the Pope was indeed talking about Trump. At that time, Trump had just captured the Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. Last summer, he bombed Iranian nuclear facilities and was clearly preparing for a new phase of war. He also stated that the US would take control over Canada and Greenland. And now experts are generally shocked by the fact that the Pentagon is summoning church leaders to demand their loyalty. And here I'll give you another quote from the New Republic. This outrageous intimidation tactic is the first of its kind, not to mention the cases when a world power assumed it could forcibly capture the Roman bishop. The Vatican was so alarmed by the Pentagon's warning that the Pope cancelled his plans to visit the US later this year. Many in the Vatican took the Pentagon's reference to the Avignon papacy as a threat to use military force against the Holy See. The tension had not eased by February, when the Holy See declined the White House's invitation to host the Pope, who, by the way, was born in the US, at the celebration of America's 250th anniversary in July. And at this point, the Vatican snubbed Donald Trump instead of visiting the US on Independence Day. Pope, and this is a tiny island between Tunisia and Sicily, was also chosen for a reason, because while Trump will be at the military parade on Independence Day somewhere in Washington, the Pope will go to this island because it is there that thousands of immigrants from North Africa arrive on the shore. It's kind of a jab at Donald Trump, who is fighting against migrants. Even the publication Axios writes that Pope Leo XIV and US President Trump are escalating an already tense conflict. Quote, "While Catholic leaders view the war with Iran from the perspective of just war theory and the protection of civilians, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has filled the conflict with Christian nationalist rhetoric and a maximum lethality approach." This week, Pope Leo issued his strongest condemnation. He called the president's threat to destroy Iranian civilization completely unacceptable. Next is a quote from the Pope. "An attack on civilian infrastructure is contrary to international law. It is also a sign of the hatred, division, and destruction that humans are capable of." But the White House said that Trump is right, and in general, anyone who talks about a conflict between the White House and the Vatican is spreading fake news. It's all lies. Anna Kelly stated, "All of President Trump's foreign policy actions have made the world safer, more stable, and more prosperous. American Catholics strongly supported President Trump in 2024. President Trump's administration maintains very positive relations with the Vatican. And at the Pentagon, they admitted, yes, they really did call them in. Representatives of the Vatican were indeed called in for talks. But they added, quote, "The meeting between Pentagon officials and the Vatican was a respectful and reasonable discussion. We have only the deepest respect for the Holy See and welcome the continuation of the dialogue." I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you already know what to do. You can do it by making a donation. All the links and details are in the description of this video or via the QR code on your screens. And don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechiy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we post breaking news as it comes in. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.